Matt, how do I minimize leaker rates during the food packaging process?
Yeah, that's a great question, Mariana. We see this a lot from our customers, particularly in retort applications where it's really important that we get a good seal before it goes into the retort. So what we're talking about here is heat sealing of pouches or cups. Um, and usually these sealing issues come when there's product in the seal zone, whether it's up high in the pouch where the heat plates contact the pouch, or it's in the sealing flange on the cup. There's product on that flange. So really what we have to look at is how do we minimize the product getting in that area. So we really need to look into how do we get a clean fill. And there's three main areas that we can look at: denesting, filling, and transport of the package. So for denesting, if it's a pouch, we need to make sure it's open properly, it's into the carrier plates properly, and it's open far enough so that our filling head can get into the pouch cleanly without getting material or product on the sides. For cups, we need to make sure that they're nested in the carrier plates properly. They're not at an angle or ajar or anything like that. For filling, once we move on to that second stage, we need to make sure that our filler actually dives into the package or the package gets lifted up. If you're looking at solids, this really helps make sure that stuff doesn't bounce out and it actually gets into the package. If you're looking at liquids, it's also important because dropping from a height could cause splashing. So we need to make sure that it lifts up around that filling head. Sometimes, especially for solids or thick products like a guacamole or a peanut butter, we also need to look at vibration and shaking. So what can happen with those products is they get wedged in the top part of the container. It's a pouch in the top part of the pouch, or in a cup if it forms air pockets in the bottom. So we need to make sure there's vibration and shaking to really make sure that product settles all the way into the package. And the last one, the one that we see probably most often, is when we have thick products like pet food or peanut butters or things like that. There's going to be stringiness that develops between the filling head and the package. So there's a lot of ways that we can design our nozzles to minimize this and make sure that it doesn't string between the two, because what can happen is as it fills, the product will sit there, or the package will sit there, and then it'll move, and that'll create a little drip that gets onto the flange of the cup. So we need to make sure that our nozzles are designed to cut off those strings or have a suck back function to pull that back. And we also want to make sure that our customers keep temperature in mind, temperature of the product as they're filling it. As the temperature changes, if they change batches or something, that viscosity is really related. And then our last of the three that we're looking at here is transport of the package. So once it's filled, we need to make sure that we have really smooth accelerations and decelerations between the filling and the sealing area, because doing that will cause splash that'll get on the sides of the package and really cause the product to get in the wrong place. So usually our problems will stem from those three areas.
And if we check all those and there are still issues, what could be the culprit?
Yeah, so we'll really only look other places after we check the denesting, the filling, and the transport. And after we look at those, what we can look at is the sealing parameters and then the material. So if we're looking at heat sealing, it's a function of three variables. It's temperature, pressure, and time. So we can tweak those to make sure that we're getting a good seal, something that actually latches on the material but is still feelable for the consumer. And then if we're looking at the material, we need to make sure the cup or the pouch isn't out of spec. Sometimes what we see is cups that have wavy seal flanges, and that'll cause little dead spots in the seal where the contact head doesn't actually touch the flange because the flange is bent down. So we need to make sure that all the packages are in spec. So as long as we have those correct and we can mess with the parameters of temperature, time, and pressure, we should be fine. We'll be able to figure it out with little to no leakers.
All right, it's a lot of good, useful information there. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to learn more about leaking, you contact Waldner North America, Waldner at wnapt.com. Thank you.